Hi, this is Sharon Swing. I'm back to talk to you about the last 4 maps in the Listen to My Life process, and I hope that you've watched the first video. You might want to jump out and do that if you haven't seen it yet. The last 4 maps in the Listen to My Life series, map number 5 is called Reviewing My Days. The purpose of this visual map is to guide you through thoughtful reflection of a day or a group of days to help you to recognize and respond to God more readily. This map has questions on it that will help you to close a day with reflection, inviting God to show you what He wants you to notice, to be able to recognize what gave you energy, what gave you life, what drained energy from you. Where did you sense God nudging and moving or directing you? And these questions over a lifetime help us to keep in touch with God and with ourselves in a way that leads to a beautiful, spiritually formed life. And recording where God is ingraining His story into ours. And so, in fact, St. Ignatius said that if you drop every other spiritual practice, don't drop this one. So we love this process of reviewing my days in the heart of the Listen to My Life process, because the next map in the process is called Desires and Longings, and helping us to recognize what our desires are, our desires for God, our desires for ourselves. For reviewing our days, we start to notice things that become important to us. And these desires we need to understand as we ask you to stand in the future at some point in time, maybe 3 years, maybe 5 years out, and to describe what motivates you. If you imagine yourself standing out in that point in time, what motivates you at that point in time? What will your joys be? What about your inner qualities? What kinds of relationships do you see having? What are your hopes and dreams? What are your desires for that point in time? And then to consider, what do those desires tell me about my deepest longings? And realizing that our deepest longings can only be satisfied by God. And many of our desires are great and good desires. But realizing that in our story being a part of God's story, we have an opportunity to turn all these desires over to God and be able to help them lead us toward Him. So that's the Desires and Longings map. That leads us right into map number 7, which is Life-Giving Rhythms. And the purpose of the Life-Giving Rhythms map is to help you think through how you might arrange your life to keep company with Jesus. So, this is about helping us to identify spiritual practices that have been important to us in the past, the things that might be useful for us today, and realizing that as seasons of life change, many times we need to be shifting our spiritual practices in ways that help us to connect with God in a more authentic way, or in a new and fresh way, so we can discover a little bit more clearly who God is revealing Himself to be to us over time. So, this is the Reviewing My Days map, and it actually starts with how might I name my desire to grow my relationship with God. And then, over my lifetime, what circumstances have I been aware of where God's presence is in my life? And then to say, how do I currently connect with God? And what spiritual practices am I drawn toward? So basically, all of this is about helping us to identify spiritual practices. And if you're not familiar with the idea of spiritual practices, we've got a list of spiritual practices in here. Half of this page is about our desires and what kinds of spiritual practices might be useful given those desires. And sometimes we might recognize that there are some negative patterns in our lives where we are resisting God, where we're stuck in some way. And there's a list of spiritual practices here that might help counteract some negative behaviors or tendencies in our life as well. But all of this is intended to help us to keep company with Jesus, the lover of your soul. So, the last map in the series is called Following Forward. Following Forward is basically an invitation to review the other 7 maps and to be able to kind of give a good summary of those maps. It starts with a question about what themes flow through my story and what have I learned about my lingering question. Remember that lingering question from the My Life Now map. Maybe that lingering question has shifted. Maybe it has gone a little bit deeper, or maybe I'm sensing that God is giving me some clarity, some direction, or some answers to that lingering question. Another question, what does God want to express through me? What needs to be left behind? In what direction am I heading? And what next steps will I take? And then a place here to write, what's my bold prayer? So that's the conclusion piece of Following Forward. Like I said, each map has a reflections page as well. So after the map is completed, then to be listened to and then to be able to take the time to go through that reflections page, do the spiritual practices that are there, enter back into Scripture so that God can speak to us through His Word, and then to be able to take your journal out and just wait and see what God might have for you at that. Thank you so much for joining me. Please remember that you can download your free copy of the introduction booklet right off of the homepage of our website, which is www.onelifemaps.com, and you'll get it right away. You'll get it immediately. So please don't hesitate to check us out. If you need any help, please email us at service@onelifemaps.com. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Also, just want to point out to you that as facilitators, you can purchase single maps out of the set. So you don't have to always buy the whole set of 8. You can buy a single map if you're looking to teach a class, just on, for example, the process of reviewing my days or life story. So please, I invite you to the journey. God is inviting you into a full life, keeping company with Him. And Listen to My Life is just one particular on-ramp to discovering more of who God is and more of who He's made you to be. We have a great community of facilitators that if you're looking for a group and you're not ready to facilitate one yourself, which we can equip you to do, please contact us and ask about that. If you think you might want to lead a group, ask for more information at service@onelifemaps.com. We'll point you in the right direction. Have a great day.